So somebody put up on Twitter a great thread on a Facebook page, and they decided to say why the Joker movie is problematic. Rachel Miller nails it. Well, Heather Antos, the person you can't see, you can see her picture in the corner there, but I tripped it off. Just leave this person alone. She's an idiot anyways. She's already getting ratioed, as you can kind of see down here. That's because she's stupid, but we'll get into that because, as I mentioned before in my previously working theory, that feminism has caused a escalation in violence, an escalation in false accusations, and a bunch of other social problems because they decided to take that next step in a logical conclusion to a religion and start finding their demon, the white male. Since they made it intersectional, that means they had to bring race into the equation now, didn't they? So now we got this straight white male syndrome where they target white males and tell them they're scum to their face and no repercussions for their actions. Until somebody goes fucking off the rocker and kills people. And if you've read any of the manifestos that have come out from some of these insane people, that's exactly what they say. They got sick of seeing it over and over in their face every goddamn day until they snap. They don't have the mental fortitude to deal with this crazy son of a bitch and shit. Because they were raised the same way the other assholes that are now bullies were raised. Entitled, unfortunate, and didn't know how. They weren't trained to deal with assholes because the assholes were taken out of their life, if you will. So let's read through this marvelous revelation of Rachel Miller's and discuss if my theory holds true, because I imagine there's a lot of psychological defense mechanisms in this thing. So let's have some fun. Okay, I've pinpointed exactly what it is that bothers me about the Joker movie. Well, the Joker movie isn't out yet, so I don't know how it could bother you, considering it's only based on your trailers, maybe, and that's about all you know. I'm assuming so. We'll find out, won't we? I don't want to watch a movie that shows us the trauma that drove the Joker insane. Why not? I think it's incredible backstory, to be honest. Perhaps you don't like watching it because you have done this to people? Big Red comes to mind. And that other crazy bitch that decided to stand in front of a men's rights activist thing and tell men that they're scum and they're pigs and they're rapists. You know this toxic masculinity thing that even Tim Pool thinks is a reality? It isn't. You guys just make it. That's my theory. You want it to be real. Go to prison and experience it yourself, I guess. I don't want to watch a well-intentioned but unstable man get bullied until he turns into a mass murderer. He wasn't originally unstable. He was put into the position of becoming mentally unstable. He was also extremely smart, which is why he was able to outthwart the Batman repeatedly, because he loved chaos. But you don't want to watch an unstable man get bullied until he turns into a mass murderer. Well, perhaps you should stop bullying straight white males until they turn into mass murderers, because there's a reason why, in my opinion, that 80-90% of all mass murderers that make the news are straight white males. And it might have something to do with people like Rachel Miller. I don't want to be shown what a poor, unfortunate underdog this man was, who was sadly forced by circumstances and that nasty Batman to take up a life of crime. Well, newsflash, Batman had nothing to do with his life of crime. As you just said, he was bullied into the position and pretty much ridiculed and mocked by everyone in his life until he snapped. And then he took it out on everyone in his life and everyone that wasn't in his life. He wanted everybody to suffer as they have suffered. And if you don't want to watch that, it's because you're creating the monsters. You don't like hearing that, but you've created the monsters. I don't want to have sympathy for a man best known for his robbery, murder, and arguable rape shoved down my throat for 2 hours. Joker, in all the series that I've ever seen, has never raped anyone, ever. In fact, he killed a rapist, if I remember right. And his only girlfriend was Trixie. She was never raped. Just so you know. He never actually went that far. Crazy, yes. But he had a line. And if you didn't watch the series, the only line he had was because he loved his mother. Almost like Norman Bates, which probably you wouldn't like to watch either, who wanted to become his mother even though his mother was dead. But anyways, kind of the same thing. You don't want to think, you want to shove that rape in there because in your mind, all men are rapists. Again, you're creating the monster you hate, and this movie's going to demonstrate it right in your goddamn face. And you don't want to watch it because it might make you a little bit uncomfortable because that's the kind of shit you've been doing to people for fucking decades. I'm willing to bet. I don't want this to be sold as a relatable story that can happen to anyone with a bad enough day. And I don't want to be around any of the lonely white boys who relate to it. Well, you threw white boys up in there too. So we definitely know you're an intersectional feminist. And you definitely understand that you push somebody's buttons long enough, eventually they'll snap. That makes you a bully. So I think I see what you're getting at. Since you want to say, do you see what I'm getting at? Yeah, I do. You created these monsters and you don't want to see what you've created. That's what you don't want to see. Isn't that kind of scary? I don't know if there's ever a good time for a movie that paints mass murder as the logical conclusion of a socially isolated, debatably neurodivergent white man being failed by the system, but I feel as though this is not fucking it. Well, guess what? You've created this monster. The Joker is going to appear. And he's going to appear in vengeance, and he's going to appear en masse. And you've created this monster. We've already had multiple Jokers. They may have not painted their faces, but they sure as fuck acted it out. Unfortunately for you, the Joker's fantasy. So the shit doesn't go well like that, okay? But in reality, we've had our Jokers. And you created them, in my opinion, in my theory, in my hypothesis, I guess. 40 years of demonization of a protected class, constant, nonstop, in school, on TV, in every aspect of our lives, everywhere, even at work. Protests. We go out and say something. We get beat up. You think somebody's not going to snap under that kind of pressure? It's amazing. I don't want to see a movie that idolizes the Joker when there is plenty of easily armed fuckboys who already think he has the right idea without adding a tragic backstory to elicit sympathy. Well, guess what? Each one of those armed fuckboys had also a tragic backstory. You remember the Parkland shooter that everybody flipped out about that went and shot up that school and gave us the award-winning David Hogg? That stupid son of a bitch. It was kids like him that created the shooter. I want that in your head. It was kids like him. It was a broken house. It was no father figure to teach him right from wrong. On top of that, he was already a little bit mentally unstable, according to what he's seen. And he knew what he did. And he did it anyways. So if you don't want to see the monster you've created, don't go see the movie. That's fine. I'm sure all the critics are going to say, this is a horrible movie about white men. And you're going to just go, white, 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 white. That's all we're going to hear. That's all we're going to hear. How the white man can relate to this, and this is a very bad movie, and it's so problematic. Shut the fuck up. You created this demon. And you don't like looking in the mirror, because when you see this movie, you're going to see yourself as the antagonists throughout this movie. Guaranteed. Replace his Joker with the sign he was holding above his head, sail over here, put a MAGA hat on his head. That's you guys. Beating the shit out of him in the freaking alleyway. Because you wore a hat that offended you. That's you. Rachel Miller, that's you. Finally, I also don't want the narrative line to be drawn between mental illness and mass murder, as is so often done in modern eras to Batman villains. As it's so common with the Joker in particular, I don't want to get highlighted and underlined in Sharpie as well. God, I'm sick of the Joker. Well, if you're sick of the Joker, quit creating them. That's going to be my suggestion. If you don't like the story, don't make it a reality. So I was a little bit miffed when I read this. I was like, oh my God, this girl is exactly why we have mass shooters. And the story of the Joker, there might be some truth to it. Why? It's not just the Joker. You're demonizing a whole fucking race. People like Rachel Miller. People like this other idiot, Heather Antos. They're the ones. They're the ones that are making new Jokers in our lives. The ones that shoot up a Walmart. The ones that shoot up Christchurch. The ones that shoot up Parkland. Hell, you could also go back as far as Alex Jones' favorite frickin' subject. And the kids that shot that place up. That's how far back this goes. 40 fucking years of telling white people how bad they are, how evil they are. Telling boys, don't be boys. Teaching them not to be men. Destroying the family. This is your monster. So yeah, actually, Rachel Miller, I think you should go see that movie. Because it might give you some self-reflection. It might make you understand. But clearly, your ideology is getting in the way. So that's all I had for this video. I thought this was a great hot take on the Joker movie. I'm going to see it personally because the Joker is probably the most well thought out villain of all time. I think he's brilliantly done because he could literally be anyone. That's why I like Batman and the Joker. Batman, just a rich, smart guy. That's all it is. He was born into privilege and money. And he set out to be vengeance. Set out to be the law in a broken system. The Joker, created by that system. I thought it was a perfect reflection on our current lives. We need another Batman. But the ones that are creating the Jokers, they need to be stopped. So thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.
Your kung fu is good, but you are too emotional.